there's really only one game to maybe talk about this week. There is the Kentucky and Ole Miss game, but I mean, I guess Kentucky did beat Ole Miss last season in Oxford, but anyways, I just don't think with the way it's looking its first week, there's just not a ton to talk about. Don't really know how these teams really are going. Half the games are just cupcake games. Actually, I say half, 90% of the games. I'd say the only game we have that's really worth talking about is game day, the game day game of the week, Michigan at Oklahoma. So, which this one's an interesting
really the only
game. Super. The reason I think this one's so interesting though is because this is going to be a battle. I mean, this is going to be hopefully, it's early, like we're talking about, but it'll give us a good eye on the two teams that are like really still kind of in limbo of, okay, how are they going to fare now? You got, a head coach who stepped in right after a national championship winning head coach. And you got, Oklahoma who has a coach who, I can tell you right now, if he has a probably 500 or below season this season, he's going to be without a doubt probably on the hot seat. So, and he may even be on the hot seat depending upon how this game goes. So,
and in terms of not knowing, not having a lot to talk about in terms of the nitty gritty of the sport, who's who and what to expect. Yeah, we really don't have enough to go on. We'll just talk about expectations for Michigan and Oklahoma, because I feel like both of these teams, their expectations are kind of up in the air. A lot of questions revolving around both Michigan and Oklahoma, and they're playing each other, two legendary blue bloods this weekend. Really the only thing to talk about. And to top off that point, I just want to say that preseason rankings are stupid. I really feel like they're pointless, and they really need to stop doing that. I don't really understand the point in preseason rankings. They're dumb. You don't know who's who. You don't know who's who until it's game time, and really you don't know who's who until you're halfway through the season, if not later. So
you got analysts out here, I won't name any names, trying to come up with the back and forth excuse with this early season. It's like, well, Alabama got beat up by FSU, but we don't really know how good the two teams are. But then literally the literal next segment, they talked about LSU and Clemson, and they're like, LSU's got defense this year. They fixed their problem. They got defense. And it's like, Clemson could just have a terrible offense for all we know. I just don't understand. It's like, if you're going to stick the narrative on one and they align with the next game or next thing you're talking about, you got to keep it. You have to. Can't say anything on these teams.
Yeah,
LSU looks like they may have bettered their defense, but I don't know, because Clemson Clemson had a terrible offense starting at the very beginning of last season. I mean, that's why a Georgia team who really didn't have a great defense last season, it was one of their worst in recent years, held them to a field goal last season. But then all of a sudden, Clemson had one of the best statistically impressive offenses by the end of the season. So
let's
they could just have a terrible offense now.
Right. Let's just say first game of the season. It doesn't matter how good you are, where your proficiencies lie. That can go out the window first game of the season.
Yeah.
So Clemson could have a great offense and just not have played good first game of the season. I mean, preseason rankings are stupid. I don't really feel like we have enough time to expand upon that, but preseason rankings are dumb. And yes, what you were talking about, the flip-flop logic, it aligns, because I mean the job of these analysts and commentators in sports media, especially with big brands, big football brands, because remember, a big state of the sport point to mention is college football is a business now. We can't stop the money train. Yeah. Coaches are complaining about it, which we can talk about things like the transfer portal and NIL at a later date, because there are a lot of things I think we have to say.
We'll do that we'll do like a serious state of the sport to get back to things.
Right.
So, but maybe an outlook on the season, but we need to get to the Michigan and Oklahoma game.
But anyway, I was just going to finish with, they do it the way they do. Like you said, the juxtaposition between giving excuses to Alabama versus hyping up LSU. Their logic works that way because it's confirmation bias. It's bias towards big brands. And if they win, they get their confirmation bias and they get the green light to hype. If they lose because it's a big brand, they have to give excuses. because the big brand bias and their job is to give excuses and find a way to continue to hype up, find a way to give a positive spin on big brands, because that's just how it works. So that's the logic they play by. So I'm not surprised by that. But Oklahoma and Michigan. So, I mean, hell, what do we expect from these two teams this season?
Well, to start off, I think this is a really interesting game because, well, I already said that earlier, but the coaching thing, and then you also have two new quarterbacks, Bryce Underwood, a highly rated recruit coming into Michigan. In fact, he might have been the number one rated player, offensive player,
Is he their new
coming into
quarterback?
Michigan. Bryce Underwood, yeah, he's their new
I'm a
quarterback.
little
He
behind on
played
the
very well.
info.
He played very well last week. They played New Mexico, but he still played well and he looked good. So he definitely looked better than the quarterback situation for Michigan last season. But I think it's interesting because you have two new quarterbacks and you have two defensive powerhouses right now. When I say power, Oklahoma struggled in some games last season, but I think that's just defensive down spiral stuff because they had an offense that could not keep that defense off the field at all, which is the more interesting thing here. It's
Right.
going to be kind of seeing two teams who have been mostly defense the last couple seasons. When I say last couple seasons, Michigan just won the national championship 2 seasons ago. Last season, Michigan struggled in offense. Last season, Oklahoma was atrocious. I mean, just embarrassing on offense. So we're going to see. Oklahoma's got John Mateer, who looked phenomenal. Relative to, I'd say John Mateer and and Nussmeier, Garrett Nussmeier probably had the two best showings. Nussmeier a little bit more solid because he actually played a power for, most likely higher caliber team. And John Mateer was playing. I don't know why I forgot. I think it was Liberty they played.
Which with Nussmeier on the Heisman watch, we'll talk about Heisman stuff later because
Mateer's on the Heisman watch already. So
with Heisman conversations coming up, but just like preseason rankings are dumb, Heisman talks this early in the season, especially in the off season, are dumb. So especially with players that haven't started a single game,
we gotta roll into this game. So that's kind of my take.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's for another day.
That's kind of my take on the game. That's why I think it's going to be an interesting game. So I guess I'll just do my own thing and then turn it over to you. You give your opinions. I think with Oklahoma, they have a new offensive coordinator. So I think which is has to be better than what they had last season, and which I forget his name because he's such a forgettable offensive coordinator. He was out of there at the time. So. But I think John Mateer, it'll be fun to see how he performs against a team that's most likely going to have a pretty good defense. Oklahoma also is like 10th in returning production. They've got a ton of returning production, whereas Michigan's in like the top 30. They might be like 29th or something. So two teams with most of their production returning, but now have new quarterbacks who are probably going to be better, which are already panning out to be better than what they had just in this first week. So not too much to go off of. But I guess I'll give some sort of prediction. It's super loose because there's not a lot. I think this is just going to be a case because these teams are kind of literally in the exact same position. I think Brent Venables, because he's got a little more hand in the defense, I think Brent Venables and Oklahoma's defense is going to come out stronger this weekend. And I think Mateer is going to be that X factor. When I say X factor, he's the expected the expected one to show out. I think he'll do just fine. Right. And then with the added element of being in Norman, I think Oklahoma will probably come out on top. So that's sort of my loose prediction.
Okay. So Brother Chase is making a prediction on this one. Well, I mean, you pretty much said most of what I was going to say anyway. As far as Michigan and Oklahoma's expectations this is two teams that have struggled to get their offense together since last season. Oklahoma for a while now. So the expectation is, or the question is, we've got two teams that are in pretty good position that if they get their offense going, then they could be in the talk for contention. They could maybe even be in the playoff talk because they both have great defenses, or at least so, we going off of from last season and their returning production, we can say we can expect good defensive performance from them, good defense. So the biggest question is, are they going to get their offenses going? Especially both teams having brand new starting quarterbacks. That's going to be very interesting. Now, I'm not going to say I have super high expectations, even for the playoff for either Oklahoma or Michigan, with the fact that they're still getting their offenses together, brand new starting quarterbacks. But I think they can be. I think they can be good teams this season. I think that this is going to be a figuring themselves. No real playoff expectations for either team. But hey, let's see. Maybe if they can get their offenses going, then there's a maybe there. Maybe in the conversation.
If they can get their offense going, I think that it's fair to be, to say, hey, they definitely could be in the playoffs. Their path after and like when they're in, who knows? I don't know. I think there's a lot as of right now. I think there's a lot of teams that are probably going to pan out better than both. But I think that.
But if those offenses,
really good offense,
if the offensive proficiency of those teams can match the expected defensive proficiency, they'll be top 25 teams.
I'll say this: if Oklahoma, if Deion Burks for Oklahoma can stay healthy, and John Mateer does have, Heisman potential, and he's what everybody thinks he'll be for Oklahoma, I will say that there probably is a very good chance that they could have some pretty, heavy playoff implications. But there's also the O-line problem. Oklahoma's O-line was pretty atrocious last season as well. So we'll see how that goes, but that's kind of my take on the game. So I think Oklahoma will pull it out with the help of Norman, and
they're going to do what?
I'm laughing at the fact that I said with the help of Norman, like I'm just talking about some random dude named Norman. You, Norman,
Norman.
You watching this, you're going to help Oklahoma win this.
You, Norman. Well, I'm not going to give a prediction for the winner of the game because I don't think there's enough to go off of in general. I don't really want to make a prediction. Excuse me. We're not going to get into like predictions or anything just yet because there's not enough evidence to go off of for these teams. Same with like the preseason. Well, I guess you did make your prediction, but I am not going to make any prediction for anybody until maybe we get a couple weeks more in, week 3, week 4, even, where we're more contenders play contenders and we kind of know more of who's who. Well, even though I'm not going to make a prediction on the game, on the winner, I will say I do have something that I want to do in terms of Michigan versus Oklahoma. Let's have a little fun with it, because what we kind of want to do is get back to our original approach of being a little more fun, casual, not take it too seriously. We're going to dial it back a little bit and try some more fun things that we can do, some goofy ass things that we can do for the podcast videos. So today we're going to introduce a little thing where we're going to pit the two teams in question. We're going to pit their logos against each other. So
little segment I like to call logo or no go.
That's good. I like that. Logo or no go. I'm liking this soundboard, by the way.
Put up the logos. It's only fitting that we this week just do the teams that we just talked about, Michigan versus Oklahoma. I picked Oklahoma to win the game. You're not picking someone to win. So who's got the better logo? And I assume we're probably doing the I let Cameron here take the wheel on like picking the logos out, so then it's a little bit more. I got a little bit more of a on the spot kind of decision to make. So
did it show up? What do we got going, folks? Oh, there it is. Infinity.
oh,
All
okay.
right.
So
So is
we got
this is the
okay. So we got
logo? Is it
multiple.
full screen?
For the most part, yeah. It's kind of not the best, but I mean, I see it. I see it.
Okay. Because it was supposed to do just the window, but it wouldn't.
So we got Oklahoma, Michigan. So I see. That's why I mentioned that is because it looks like you've got. What are you doing?
Hang on a second. Dude, StreamYard sucks. All right, hang on. Okay, can you see it full screen now?
Yes.
All right, folks. So what we got here is Oklahoma and Michigan, logo or no go. Whose logo is better? So this is going to be it today. We're pitting them against each other, the two logos. And as you'll notice, that we have multiple iterations of each, but the gist of this is that both teams, it's literally just letters. So,
Yeah, pretty much. It's nothing special.
but
And honestly,
color scheme, history, things like that. We'll take that into account. I don't know. I think I think Michigan having the history that Michigan has, Oklahoma having a lot of history too, but I feel like Michigan has a little bit more history. And when you see that M, you know, you know, you know, and OU, you see it, it's Oklahoma, the Sooners, we know, but the scheme, like the way that they have their letters, kind of, it's kind of there's a lot of schools that use like the same scheme, and yeah, okay, Michigan has the liberty of just having a singular alphabetic letter of M, but it's Michigan, man, maize and blue. So
well, see, Michigan has had the M the whole time. I think the only thing that's changed is the outline on the M since they've been a school and had like any kind of like logo. OU's has changed, I think, like I don't know, 4 times total. I think they
So
had
what
like
you're saying is the letter M has stood the test of time.
it stood the test of time. I actually really like the secondary logo there where they got their actual, it's got the name Michigan over the top.
It is
OU's
nice.
iconic though. The new OU's really iconic. So,
It's
um,
nice, and the color schemes for both are nice. That crimson and white for Oklahoma, and then the maize and blue, as we said before. It's huh.
the the sort of like
Or do they call it scarlet in Oklahoma? Do they call it scarlet or crimson? Because I guess it could classify as either.
I'm pretty sure it's crimson. I think that
I don't know. But as you can see here, first of all, can you see my mouse?
yes.
So what we've got is a lot of polygonism going on here with the OU logo. Kind of looks like they didn't do a lot of rendering with this one. Kind of get a lot of sharp points and polygons. Michigan's smooth, like it's got them square angles, but it's like smooth. You got
Yeah.
the M, you got the come on, man.
They designed OU's logo on the N64. So, but
The
it's
M
kind
for
of but it's
Michigan.
evened out. It's no, I said OU. The
No,
hexagonal.
I was.
Oh,
Never mind. I was
what
going
you're
to say
saying.
something about Michigan.
The hexagonal kind of, I think
Hexagonal.
that's or is that no, never mind. It's
Listen to this guy.
octagonal. There's 8 sides. It's octagonal. It's an octagon. Um, so yeah, let me count real quick.
All I can say is, first of all, because this is a more recent logo for OU, and the way it looks, I'm just going to say a clanker designed this logo for Oklahoma. First of all, that Michigan M, that looks like a hand drawn using pencils and slide rulers, old school human drawn M right there. This OU, a clanker definitely made that. I'm going with Michigan. I, you know, just because of my anti-clanker bias. If you know, you know. Are we allowed to say that on the air, clanker, in 2025?
There's no telling. We'll see.
I'm giving it to Michigan. You can't beat the amazing blue M.
Oklahoma has a gorgeous crimson. I love their crimson. And sorry, Crimson
It is
Tide.
pretty.
You're not actually crimson. This is a real crimson.
Whoa, buddy, you're opening up a can of worms that you don't want to open up on the
But
first
anyways,
episode
I
back.
100%. I don't know. Michigan, the yellow and blue is really nice with the M. It's nice. The nice yellow.
The alternative is nice too. I'm taking Michigan. You know what? I don't care about your opinion. I'm deleting this. No contest. You gave your prediction. I'm giving my this is what I call blessing. It's not a prediction, but it's a blessing. With the whoever wins these little logo or no go or whatever type competition we're doing, little fun casual crap we're doing. Whoever wins these competitions gets the blessing of the Talk-Ons, or at least one of us anyway. So Michigan gets my blessing because
Okay.
there
Well, if
there
you're
are logos.
blessing, if you're going to give them the
Oh,
blessing,
you is no go today.
it's a 50-cent blessing, which means that I get 50% blessing. And since I got the other 50%, I'm going to give it to OU. So I just like the crimson, man. It's a gorgeous red. I'm sorry. And I like that they kind of, that the U is just the O, but with the top three sides cut off. So, and it's, nice and centered inside the O. We
Well,
never
we
make
have a
that again,
friend.
most again.
We have a
So
friend that is an Oklahoma fan, and I'm just doubling down on this just to spite him. All for fun. Fun and love, but also, screw you, guy. Michigan.
you know who you are.
So
If you watch
yeah.
this, you know who you are. Anyways, well, I think that
So
about does
that's
it
it's
then.
that's it.
So
Nothing, nothing,
I
nothing
guess
left to
that's
say
it
about
for our
that.
first episode back. So um,
Infinity.
I say we just go ahead, cut the outro short because we're pretty well over time that we wanted this time. I think we can
I mean,
get it under
that's
an hour. So
we do it every time. But I'm excusing us because it's our first video back. So for you, loyal, faithful listeners who stuck all the way through, thank you for listening to our objectively correct professional yapping.
thank you guys for watching. We're glad to be back. We're gonna do our best to get this probably by 2 episodes every week. Hopefully, a reaction on Sunday, and um, uh, and then a like a
Preview
predictions and stuff preview.
predictions and previews for middle of the week,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, most likely.
Yeah, so
We're shooting for 2 a week, or we're doing this for fun and casually. So, and we're also professionally, consistently inconsistent. So we may miss a week, but if we do it in any particular week we do it in, then we will have, as he said, be shooting for a reaction and on Sundays and previews on Wednesdays. But we're back, baby. Objective
we are
correctness has
indeed back.
returned.
So this is Chase, aka No Time Prime, signing off. I'm not going back in the closet. Sorry, guys.